What's up, guys? In this session, you're going to learn why market size is one of the most important factors and can lead to a startup not being funded. It's because if your market is not huge, your startup can never be too. Now, if you want to know more about why market sizing is so important, we're going to cover this, and stick with me right now.
Ask Alex. Ask Alex. Because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so market sizing. It's something I've always struggled with, despite being analytical and knowing the theoretical fundamentals. To me, it's sort of intuitive. The market is either big or it's not. Trying to quantify it has always been a little like either trying to put lipstick on a pig or so obvious, do I really need to explain? I posit that if you are in camp 1, you have an issue you need to address quite quickly. And if you're camp 2, you don't really need to explain it. Only if you're in camp 1, you're highly unlikely to get funded unless it's dealt with rather deftly. I know it when I see it. I shall not attempt further to define the kinds of material I understand to be embraced within that shorthand description. Hardcore pornography. And perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so. But I know it when I see it. And the motion picture involved in this case is not that. In 1964, US Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart described his threshold test for obscenity in Jacobellis versus Ohio, explaining why the alleged pornographic material at issue in the case was not obscene under the Roth test, and therefore was protected speech that could not be censored. The famous remark was, "I know it when I see it." I believe the same thing applies with market sizing. Size matters, guys. Market sizing is the greatest litmus test. It's the only factor upon which, if all other variables are positive, a company is either viable or not. Think of market viability as the denominator. A null value always results in a null outcome. Well, why? Well, it doesn't matter how good the team is and your strategic partnerships with Hippies Incorporated. It doesn't matter how good the product is if your market is 20 hippies, and it doesn't matter how good your attraction is if you have 50% of the 20 hippies in a commune in a day. It doesn't matter how good your unit economics are if your 20 hippies will only pay $50 a month at a 99% margin and a $1 CAC. The market is always just going to win. As Andy Rachleff, founder of Benchmark Capital, puts it, when a great team meets a lousy market, the market wins. When a lousy team meets a great market, the market wins. When a great team meets a great market, something special happens. VC math needs big market sizing. VC math works differently to startup math. As I blogged previously in another one, meaning founder exit is not the same thing for venture capital, you can't have a strategy for shrinking a market and owning it if you don't have a big market either. VCs need a big market to get big returns. The only thing that matters is you can be big enough, and that means headroom to grow, as well as the story to tell for future growth. So simply put, you aren't getting funded without a market that can facilitate a large exit. If you need a small market to get a big exit, the VCs would be happy with that too, but that's not the way the world works. How big can this get? How big this can get is one of the absolute first and fundamental questions an investor will think to themselves. Maybe they will pause and question if the market is small now, but grow larger in time. They read about how some VCs passed an Uber, so they won't make this mistake. If they can't reconcile this in their head rapidly, they will ask you how big this can get. Now, oh crap. The fact they need to ask this question is a big flag per se. Why do they have to ask? Something must be missing, right? You can say your market is fashion as an e-commerce provider. Everyone wears clothes. The question is therefore more, why you? Why do shoppers need another seller or store? Can you acquire customers cheaply, more cheaply than other people? There are a lot of related questions to a big, obvious market, but the question is not about the market size, it's more the share that you can profitably acquire. Now, an investor might ask this question if the starting market is small, but the potential is large due to some trends. Think SaaS software and Salesforce. Think e-commerce in the world of 56K dial-up modems. It would be reasonable to ask this from boo.com with their flash-heavy site. But there is a story of why the market will get big in future. How long does it take to answer this question is correlated to your funding conversion rate. If the question of how big this can get is raised, your time to comforting the investor will determine your likelihood of closing the investor. If this question stands out like a sore thumb, investors will dominate any meeting starting with a, sorry, I have to bring this up again, but you are not going to get funded. No startup survives contact with an investor for more than 2 interactions if the market question is not resolved. Market sizing cannot be modeled in Excel when an investor is unsure of the market size. It's a little like cheating on your girlfriend and after getting caught, trying to convince her you won't do it again. She listens to your logical reasoning, but she instinctively doesn't believe you and can't reconcile the cognitive dissonance from that. To her, it's simpler to move on and find another to invest time into. Comfort of market size is something that is either instinctively obvious or is reconcilable due to the connection the investor and founders have due to charisma, belief in product, and the vision. If there are some concerns on the market size and the investor believes in the founder, then they will find a way to buy into it. If investors don't get the market and they don't get the founder, then no amount of Excel models and Goldman Sachs research reports will prove to the contrary. Simply put, you can't logic an investor into believing the market with Excel. So, the exception. Growth stage deals are different. It's much more about the math. The market likely needs to be modeled in the cold light of Excel. If you're kicking ass then, what headroom is left may be a realistic question. Salesforce has pretty much saturated the market already. So it's an issue, right? The market is too small. It's a hell of a lot easier to say than you, the founder, are not backable. And so they'll often use that as an excuse. Early stage, what I've written in this blog applied. Early stage is all about hope and a song. It's intuitive. Investors get the opportunity or they don't. The truth is, the market is too small. It's a hell of a lot easier to say than you, the founder, not backable. I previously wrote about this at length. Now, to conclude, guys, if investors decide they don't get the market, it's pretty impossible to convince them otherwise. Ensure that you communicate the size of the market to investors and ensure that they get it. You need to know the top-down sizing. List the reports and do your own bottom-up calculations, ideally to be able to do on math on a whiteboard. Now, furthermore, have a story with all the underlying drivers that will lead to the market expanding and you riding that wave to the top of the market. But at the end of the day, if investors don't get the market opportunity, you're not going to get their money. So sell the market size. Okay, guys, I hope that was really useful. If it was, feel free to share and all that good stuff. If you need help with your pitch deck, head out to perfectpitchdeck.com. We can help you either just do design, check out your content, or even write your deck from scratch. I hope that was useful, guys. Bye.